What up, everybody? In the final minutes of Force Season 1, we were introduced to a high-ranking FBI agent in the Midwest office, Stacey Marks. Stacey Marks' position for the FBI is likely parallel to Agent Medina's current position for the DEA in the Eastern District. So Stacey Marks is a higher-ranking law enforcement officer than we are used to seeing in power, more high-ranking than Blanca or Jenny, and going back to OG Power, she's more higher-ranking than the FBI agents Greg Knox or Donovan. So we can say that she's in a position of power. Stacey Marks is a supervisor of the two FBI agents who were investigating Walter Flynn in Season 1. They were watching Walter, and that's how they got the picture of Tommy outside of Dr. Parker's. They were also the feds who did the raid on Walter's company, demanding he show them some kind of paperwork before Claudia showed up and gave them what they wanted. They told Stacey Marks they believe that Tommy Egan is responsible for killing the 4 horsemen, and he's responsible for all the dead Serbs. Either though they didn't have his name at the time, because ironically, they said he's like a ghost. According to the Season 2 trailer, they will learn Tommy Egan's name at some point, meaning they will also probably figure out that he's a fugitive who faked his death. Getting me to the question, what is Stacey Marks' angle? I have a strong feeling that there's going to be a lot more to Stacey Marks' character than just being a normal, by-the-book, blue-collar cop. I could be wrong, but just give it a few episodes to find out. I have a feeling this character is going to be like a combination of Jukebox and Mike Sandoval with a little bit of Rashad Tate. I use Jukebox as my primary because she was just a flat-out dirty cop who used her job to her advantage to do more dirt. For example, the jewelry heist that Kanan was part of. Jukebox was outside ready to give the wrong information to the other cops on the scanner. I made the Jukebox comparison, but of course Stacey Marks has a much higher position than just a local cop. I believe also her demeanor will be a lot more calm, cool, and collected than Jukebox. Because of her position, I make the comparison to Mike Sandoval. Either though Sandoval is a U.S. attorney, they are both high-ranking positions. The difference, though, that there will be between Stacey Marks and Mike Sandoval is I feel like Stacey Marks will be a shot caller, while Mike Sandoval was just at the mercy of Lobos and his men because they held his daughter over his head as leverage to get him to do whatever they wanted him to do. Stacey Marks won't have these problems. I believe she will be the person in the position of power. And the reason I added Rashad Tate into the mix is because I believe she will also have political ambitions. And if her character is not killed off too soon, I believe we could see her running for office, most likely mayor. One thing I also noticed about Stacey Marks is that she wears white pearls. If you were to do a quick Google search of what are white pearls a sign of, at the very top, in big bold words, it would say the word innocence. So things like innocence and purity would make sense for a woman like Stacey Marks, given her position as a high-ranking law enforcement officer. But keep in mind that the game of power is all about deception. Like the book The Art of War says, all warfare is based on deception. So of course Stacey Marks had to play the game to get to her big position. In the Season 2 teaser, we hear Stacey Marks saying, I want to know everything about the men running. So Stacey Marks is going to be collecting information, but for what angle? To make an arrest, or to find a way to get her piece of the pie. There's another short clip from Season 2 where Stacey Marks tells Tommy Egan, you've been selling a lot of drugs in my city. Notice she called Chicago her city. Walter Flynn also spoke to Tommy like this, calling Chicago his city. This is an indication of ownership. If I tell somebody something about coming into my city, that is because I believe I'm the one running things and that you need to answer to me as long as you are in that particular city. This also gives us a little information into Stacey's backstory, as she was most likely born and raised in Chicago. I brought up the Mike Sandoval Lobos connection earlier, getting me to the question, does Stacey Marks work with Miguel Garcia? Could she be collecting information from Miguel? Possibly looking into who's moving the new drug Dahlia. So with that said, Stacey Marks could be Tommy's connection to Miguel Garcia. In the Season 2 trailer, Stacey Marks says that Tommy Egan is the key to taking down all the gangs. Is Stacey Marks going to be Tommy's protection to get him to the top of the game and becoming the Connect? We know from Tommy's conversation with Diamond that Tommy's goal is to become the top player in Chicago. With that being said, Tommy isn't laying low or anything like that for a man who's supposed to be dead and a wanted fugitive if he was alive. So if Tommy's going to stay out of prison, he's going to need someone in high places protecting him, and this is where Stacey Marks comes into play. One of the reasons she could want Tommy Egan running things instead of all the gangs fighting over who's running things is the same reason why Steve Tampio got the Jimenez released from jail in Power. If you just have one person running everything, there's going to be a lot less violence than you would have if everyone was fighting for power, control, and territory. Tommy has already said he's an outsider, so he doesn't have to play by the rules of the city where there's a lot of division. Even though Tommy is a serial killer, at the end of the day, his main goal is for everyone to come together and get paper. Having Stacey Marks' protection will help keep law enforcement off his scent by giving them the wrong information, similar to how Sandoval always did for Lobos. Getting me to Blanca Rodriguez, who is asking her supervisor Medina to get involved in the Chicago action, but he told her to stick to her New York cases for now. When she does see those pictures of Tommy Egan, it will be a problem. And if Stacey Marks is working with Tommy, she will also be a problem for Stacey Marks. So that's why if this scenario ends up playing out, I can see Stacey Marks being the one to kill Blanca, making her think that they're working together before taking her out. And if I'm wrong about Stacey Marks being a dirty cop, my second guess would be that she has some kind of connection to Diamond from before he went to prison or when he was young, maybe something similar to Angela in Ghost. And there you have it, my theory of Stacey Marks being a dirty cop who will protect Tommy Egan and keep him out of prison. Leave your thoughts, theories, and predictions in the comments.